Hey guys, Dov here with the lads, coming at you with some hot Greenskins action. Today we've got a community cast. Greenskins going to be going against Norsca, so let's get straight to the builds here. Generally this matchup is perceived in the Greenskins' favor, although there are certainly units on Norsca's roster that can give some issues. But here, this is a very strong pick. 5 biggins in the front line, very straightforward. They'll do well against most Norscan infantry. They also do well against Famir, Skinwolves, basically just kind of a great all-around unit in this matchup. We've also got 4 Orc Arrow Boys, Azag leading the way up in the air, the Ragnarok Queen, we've got Wolf Riders, 2 of them, and 2 big bosses riding on wolves. Very cool, it gives them extra speed, although they do not have the poison effect of the spiders, and obviously the spiders also have Forest Strider, which doesn't matter at all on this desert map. We're here in Nehekhara. Somehow the Norskins came down here to fight the Greenskins. They've got frontline and Marauders here. Looks like some veterancy on a couple of them. One of them actually the Icehorn Marauders there. We've got some Hunters, Famir Warriors with great weapons, Ice Wolves, and Skin Wolves, those armored Skin Wolves. Also got Brutes of the Hound, Brog leading the way here, Mist Stalkers. So yeah, pretty good stuff. So we'll see. The Norskins are going to kind of take the high ground here a little bit, pushing the Famir up here with the support of these Marauders, and the Icehorns will be a pretty good situation for them to try and take this high ground, but the Greenskins player just moving these Wolf Rider archers up to kind of contest this area, do a little bit of damage, potentially pull some troops away, so check that out. The Ragnarok Queen is a pretty good pick here. Monsters are generally pretty risky against Norsca. They're kind of themed around monster hunting to a degree. And so as a result, especially like giants can be very risky here because of javelins. The hunters actually do good damage to the Ragnarok Queen. They don't have the anti-large, they just do a high amount of missile damage in general. Go ahead and take a look. Yeah, 22 armor piercing on a single shot is pretty good. So the Wa is going to get popped here. You can see the Skin Wolves and the Ice Wolves getting drawn away in the distance there, and then the biggins are going to come in and with the Wa charge just absolutely pound these Marauders here. We do have some champions. Champions will obviously match up a little bit better, but even still on the charge, especially with that extra charge bonus and melee attack, this is a very cost-effective trade for these biggins. Pretty much across the line here. Throg is also going to push through into the second line, getting Spirit Leeched by Azag. Got a Soul Blight here to reduce the weapon strength of all these Norskins. Not so much for the armor component, but the weapon strength component certainly is helpful here, especially against those Berserkers. Brutes of the Hound don't look like they're actually fully engaged there, but these wolves that had been distracted are now going to come crashing into this flank where Throg is getting absolutely mauled by this spider here. He's already been terrified away. The wolves come in for a timely break, get on a bunch of those archers, and are able to screen Throg out as he gets terrified there. We'll see. The Goblin Big Boss looks like does get pushed back by some Skin Wolves, so he can't pursue properly. And Azag comes down to start terrifying away some of these Marauders, but he does have to be careful. These Mist Stalkers are here. They have great stats, great armor piercing damage. He's also eating all of the throwing axes right now from these Hunters, so definitely some back and forth on both sides. Over on the flanks there, those veteran Marauders getting chased off by biggins is not the best, but those biggins are fleeing pretty far. I guess not fleeing pretty far, but over pursuing rather. Here, Throg might get chased off by these Wolf Rider archers, which would be very, very cost effective. The other Wolf Rider archers are able to pull away the Ice Wolves, which could have came and bailed out Throg, but it does look like Throg is going to be chased off. Extremely cost effective use of those Wolf Rider archers there. That's going to rally the big boss here, but definitely still not out of it. These Skin Wolves are still going to be regenerating. They still got quite a bit of HP. The Ice Wolves can still come pressure. Oh, never mind. They get terrified away. But the Famir will be tough. They are matched up in a very good situation here against the Ragnarok Queen, especially the great weapons, but and obviously even the Mist Stalkers with their high melee attack will be able to make consistent contact with the Queen there. And the Hunter is also throwing in some axes for support, so pretty good stuff. And now the Brutes of the Hound, which have been mostly inactive for the course of this battle, kind of been mismicro a little bit. They're finally going to get involved, but they have been, they are still mostly healthy, I should say. Still a full 74 unit models there, and they might start taking some heat from the overwatch of the Arrow Boys, but right now the Arrow Boys are focused on trying to bail out the Queen. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. The Famir are able to rout her off, although they are taking some serious heat from the DAKKA line here, the Air Boys, and the Wolf Rider Archer is also going to come back in, having not been pursued successfully. Azag able to help support them. Nice Spirit Leech on Famir. That's a great use of Spirit Leech to go after monstrous infantry. It'll just drop unit models pretty consistently, especially when they're lower health like that. Like a couple ticks will pick off a model there, so that's pretty good stuff. Brutes of the Hound, of course, are unbreakable, so the Terror won't be very impactful here, but the Skin Wolves and the Brutes of the Hound come in, impact these Arrow Boys. It's going to be very important for them to take down as many Arrow Boys as they can to try and reduce the ammo count here. But Arrow Boys are no complete pushovers in melee. They do have 23 attack and 34 weapon strength. The weapon strength in particular is very good. And if, you know, we were able to get potentially another wall here, they might actually match up okay. Against the Skin Wolves in particular, the Famir are definitely a tougher target with their heavier armor and everything. Azag doing his thing to try and stay mobile, support these champions, and these these Biggins still slugging it out here. And again, this is just such a cost-effective engagement for the Biggins at the end of the day. Like, the champions really, I mean, they did well enough here. They didn't completely lose out like the other Marauders would, but again, it's not wildly cost-effective for them in this engagement. You can see Azag pulling away there. The Famir look like they get the full rear charge there on the Biggins, but yeah, those Biggins are shortly going to get impacted by the enraged Brutes of the Hound. Does look like the Queen came back from route. Unfortunately, Norsca didn't have the mobility to chase it off, so that does mean some more Spider Summons could be pretty decisive in this late game. Balance power still very even after all of this fighting. Yeah, these Hunters getting chased by the Hatchling Summon. They actually could probably turn around and fight the Hatchling Summon and just route it off, but understanding not want to take completely free damage there. At this point, the Wolf Rider Archers are mostly out of ammo, so they're going to be used probably to pursue routing units. Just try and break up the assault, let these Arrow Boys get their work done. Huge DAKKA line. And the Spider providing some nice terror. We'll have to be careful, though. If these Hunters get into a position where they can open up shots, the Spider will take a lot of damage very quickly. Now, I almost wonder if these Wolf Rider Archers shouldn't come try and occupy the Hunters. They're at least going to push them away for the time being, but it looks like the Famir will actually get the job done. At Doom and Darkness, not going to be enough, or Soul Blight, rather. Does help a little bit. The Armor Sundering actually will help the Biggins match up a little bit better against the Famir, and the Weapon Strength debuff, again, will be a good component on the Brutes of the Hound, so I like that use of the Soul Blight here. Looks like another Wah going to be popped, so all these units get a nice damage spike to kind of partially layer in with that Soul Blight. Looks like the Biggins, I don't know how much damage they're actually able to do there, but certainly things are looking good. Balance power slightly in the Greenskins' favor, but apologies, guys. I had to sneeze real quick, so didn't want to blow your eardrums out. For those of you guys wearing headphones, anyway. Yeah, the Hunters still have plenty of ammo here, though. That could potentially be a problem in the late game, and I say Biggins are good at melee. Hunters are also not complete pushovers. You can see, once their Enrage gets going in particular, up to 41 melee attack for a quote-unquote skirmish unit is actually exceptionally high. Only 28 weapon strength, but still, with 40 melee attack, they can still make consistent contact against most Greenskin units. And especially like these Biggins in the late game, that'll be an interesting one. Sorry, the Arrow Boys rather. If they get in a situation where they have to fight the Hunters. For the time being, the Hunters still have a little bit of ammo. Brutes and the Hound pushing back. You can see the Marauder Hunters here. Same thing. That when they're at their full tier of Enrage, that physical resistance, that extra melee attack, they actually might beat that Goblin Big Boss. Hard to say. It's like they're going to attempt to pull away there, but yeah. A few more Arrow Boys coming in. Brutes of the Hound are going to get on them, and even though there's only a handful of these Brutes of the Hound left, they'll probably take some damage in this engagement. They'll still be able to cut up a few of these Arrow Boys here. Mirror also pushing forward. And it seems like it's going to be pretty close. Hard to say. Balance power definitely moving more so in the Greenskins' favor as a lot of these more important units get route off. In particular, the Miststalkers, which are providing terror here. Skin Wolves obviously might come back, but they still have some regeneration. The Big Boss gets taken out there, so it's pretty much just the Hunters left. That will equalize the balance of power somewhat, taking out that Big Boss. But let's fast forward a little bit through this late game, as there's a bit of a late skirmish phase. You can see the Marauders chasing some Arrow Boys. Those Arrow Boys actually get beaten back by the Hunters there, so all of a sudden it's like Azag versus the world here. There's a handful of other units scattered around. Let's see, it looks like there's some Biggins over there on the map. Forgotten about that had chased off some Marauders earlier, so they can come back and certainly make a difference here. But Azag is able to terrify away these champions very quickly, but he is taking major Overwatch damage from those Hunters. Man, the burst damage there is pretty extreme. I don't know, though. This full health unit of Biggins, I mean, we'll see. There's still a handful of air boys as well, so pop it back and fast forward as the Biggins make their way over. Air boys gonna throw in some shots. Those javelin, or sorry, the throwing axe volleys actually do a lot of damage to these Biggins here. Nope, not slow-mo. Go full speed. There we go. They're gonna come in here and pound what's left of these Marauders. Azag's still flying around somewhere. Can come in and get a quick terror rear charge. So the Hunters need to be careful of that, but it looks like they're actually just going to hit critical army losses, and that will be victory for the Greenskins. So a big thanks to Abastos for sending that one in. Chosen one, well played to him. It is lacking a caster in this build, but still almost won, so I decided I should cast the game anyway, because it was pretty good. Yeah, and this is a build definitely for the Greenskins that can give Norsca some troubles. One of the reasons I'm such an advocate for Wulfric pretty much always is, especially in a situation like this, like on that frontline engagement, these Biggins were all lined up in a nice straight line, more or less. You could have done some devastating damage with Wulfric, especially if you have like Wulfric plus a Shadow Famir, you go double wind spells, you can really crump a lighter front line like this. Or, you know, use one to crump the front line, use a second one to go after the air boys in the back line, something like that. Just a much bigger fan of Wulfric, and obviously you do need a caster as well, but yeah. As far as Bastos build goes, I like it quite a bit. I mean, Biggins are pretty solid in this matchup. They're useful against a multitude of different units here, so I like that a lot. The Air Boys, good AP values versus things like Famir and Mammoth. They can fight in melee reasonably well versus a lot of Marauder units. And, of course, Wolf Rider Archers offering cheap, flexible utility. Huge fan of them. So, on the Norscan side, yeah, Skinwolves did pretty well. Skinwolves, I think, are pretty good in this matchup because Greenskins don't have a lot of fire damage. You know, they don't get that damage spike. Now, that being said, because of their high melee attack and weapon strength, you can take a lot of damage on Skinwolves. You got to be kind of careful with them. They don't have the best melee attack, and even the armored ones, I don't think they're necessarily worth it. I think you just take the unarmored ones at the moment. 70 armor is pretty okay. It's not amazing, but really, like 80 plus is what you're looking for, and so that armor upgrade, I mean, it's not super cost-effective in my opinion to buy. I would probably just take the normal Skinwolves here. I might actually swap some more Skinwolves in, potentially. Roots of the Hound and the double champs I like. I might, like, cut some chevrons here. Maybe just cut the Icehorn Marauders down to regular Marauders. And, yeah, kind of play around with this. See if I could bring, like, 2 more Skinwolves, potentially. I guess with the caster. Let's just go ahead and take a look. You know what? Why don't I just go ahead and put together a build for you guys, because I know a lot of you guys like when I do this in the postcast. So let's go over here to Norsca. Where is it? There we go. So Wulfric, we're going to take him on horseback, I think, just so that he has a lot of mobility, can run away if he needs to. He still has really good melee stats on the horse, too. 70 attack and 50 defense. It just makes him a strong combatant in general. Hunter of Champions lets him hunt down most Greenskins characters, so we're going to keep that. I might hang on to Foe Seeker. I don't think we'll need Sword of Torgald. It is best used either on foot or on horseback. It's not actually very useful on the Mammoth or on the Chariot, but we'll come back to that in just a second. I'm actually going to go with a Fire Balefiend rather than Shadow, because Burning Head, for the leadership effect, I think is pretty good against the Greenskins. So we're going to go there. Definitely a big fan of the Mist Stalkers. Let's grab 3 regular Skinwolves, and then Brutes of the Hound, 2 champs, a couple of Marauders, and we are very light on mobility, so you know what, I actually might come in here and cut one of these Skinwolves. We can grab like potentially Beasts of Tashnar and Norscan Ice Wolves here, act as a little bit of a mobile squad. We also don't have any skirmish cav whatsoever, which feels a little bad, or skirmishers at all. You know, I'm completely foregoing the hunters here, but yeah, you could do a number of different things. Come in here, maybe cut some of these abilities. I'm a big fan of evasion from the miss. I don't know that you necessarily need that here because Greenskin missiles aren't accurate enough to consistently hit Balefiends, so I'll probably cut that just to save on a little bit of funds, and that will allow us to at least bring 1 Marauder Jab Cav, which makes me feel a little bit better. You do have enough also to swap that in, make it one of the Hunters or the Javs if you wanted, but personally I prefer the utility of the Javelin Cavalry, especially if we're going to be operating them with the Beasts of Tashnar and the Ice Wolves. Yeah, so this is definitely one way you could go. There is an argument to be made that you maybe even like cut the Berserkers here and just pop in another unit of Skinwolves. something like this, or even, you know, going one less champion, very light on infantry, but with 4 skin wolves, it's going to give you a lot of stopping power, definitely. So just some things to consider. A lot of people will say mammoths in this matchup. I actually think mammoths are a little bit of a trap because they're such big targets against the DAKKA line, and again, those orc arrows are very strong. Gotta remember, they're basically crossbows, right? 5 AP per shot, 6 AP per shot, rather, and their lack of accuracy isn't so much of an issue against a giant target like a mammoth. So keep that in mind. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.